Hey, I'm Victor Margiotta. This is the Community Show. We are at the Bear Mountain Bridge Toll House with Frank Goderre. What an amazing half hour we've had already, and the stories. This is such a great experience. I'm thrilled to be here with Frank. Frank, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for you guys coming. I really appreciate
You're very
it.
unassuming. I hope you know that. I've known you, over 20 years,
Yeah.
and didn't know how much awesome history that you possess.
It's amazing.
And thank you so much for all the work
Again,
that you
thank
do.
you for coming.
Yeah, and you've done work at the depot, the Abraham Lincoln Depot in Peekskill, and all the beautiful things you've done in Peekskill are amazing. My biggest question is, where are all these pictures that you have?
Oh, they're home. I probably have over 10,000 pictures. I know. I know. My wife has commitment papers, but she hasn't signed it, but close.
Yeah, I've got about 10 boxes of pictures that I couldn't throw away. When my parents passed from their house,
Yeah.
and it's nostalgia. So, what was the biggest thing that that got you into history?
Well, I worked for the police department back in the early 70s. And so I would go to the Peekskill Museum, and all the negatives from the Peekskill Evening Star were up on the second floor. And I started out, having them to develop maybe 10 pictures out every week, use the police department. Then I see something that I remember growing up. I go, oh, I remember that. And all of a sudden, it becomes an addiction. Then I'm on eBay, and it just, I don't tell my wife, but I do sometimes. it just becomes the love of what you do.
And it's so interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And that once, like you said, once you get that bug, and we just walked around this room, and every picture has a story. It's incredible.
Yep.
So we're celebrating now. It's 102 years that the bridge was built.
Yep.
Talk about the history of the bridge and how it got started.
Okay. Well, it was called the Hudson River Bridge Company, started construction and plans. It would be identical to the Brooklyn Bridge in 1898 or 1868, right after the Civil War. But it would go bankrupt 4 times. And the biggest hurdle was actually cutting through the rock. Anthony's nose was the biggest hurdle. So it gets to the point that Harriman's getting involved across the river to develop a park in 1910. In the following year, Bear Mountain. And then the problem is, the only way to get to those 2 parks would be by the river. So the east side was completely cut off. So while the plans were set to build this bridge finally, it was also to cut through this rock. 2 major projects, You can't just go by the bridge. The road was just as important as the bridge itself. And that sealed it.
Now they call it the goat trail,
Right.
But that's because it's like a goat trail.
Yeah.
But the real name of the road is
It's the Bear Mountain Bridge Highway.
okay.
And it's one of the first roads in this area that had a concrete pavement.
Wow.
And it was the first time a bridge had concrete pavement. Never done before.
Yeah.
So there's different things that were done that were unheard of.
Yeah.
Great
So
engineering.
What makes it a suspension bridge?
Well, it's just because that's how long it is.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time when it opened in 1924, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world.
So that means that it has cables that hold up.
Right, to hold it up, right.
That's pretty amazing. And now the biggest problem was the ferry used to bring the cars and the people across the river to go to this Bear Mountain Park.
Right. Well, the ferries, the boats still come out of Manhattan and actually stopped. The Hudson River Day Line stopped in '71. They still had another company, but as the future bridges came along, it was so much cheaper and easier to go by car that the boats really became a thing of the past. So.
And where would they come out from over here to go across the bridge?
Well, they had stops. We come out of Manhattan, the Hudson River Day Line. In 1923, the same year they start building the Bear Mountain Bridge, they buy Indian Point in Buchanan, which becomes the nuclear power plant in '54. So they had, I think that was one of the first stops. Bear Mountain, Poughkeepsie, Kingston, Newburgh, all the way up to Albany, and you go back down, and you would go back down, return trip. And they had two. They had a day boat, and they had night boats.
That's pretty
So,
amazing.
oh, and they're beautiful, unbelievable, big ships.
Well, the park is still there. It's still doing really well.
Oh, they're spending $25 million grant now to redo some of the, there's no parking. You get a holiday, you shut it down, and people get annoyed.
Yeah.
So they're increasing parking.
Okay.
I knew for the bears, they had two die in the past couple of years.
Ah.
So they're redoing some of the cages, updating it, make it healthier for the animals and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Now, they used to have the ski jump there. I remember that.
used to have the what?
The ski jump?
Oh yeah, just up on the wall there.
Yeah. I know. How do we get to come here and check this place out?
Oh, I mean, you can call me. You can go through the town. You can make an appointment, or we usually the season will start in the first weekend of June, all the way to the last weekend in October, including holidays. I'm here on the holidays.
Okay.
But I'm looking for any groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any organizations. I'm more than welcome to come here and make an appointment. I'm more than glad to meet you here.
So where are we sitting right now? What town is this?
Well, you're in the town of Cortland.
Oh, it is the town of Cortland.
Yeah, the whole. But you're on Camp Smith property. I'm sorry, I think
Yes.
it's Camp Smith property.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long have you been working in this building?
Well, this coming June will be my 5th season.
All right.
Yeah, so I did it 4 already, and every year has been great. I try to make improvements every year. I just updated all the photos there. I'm really proud of it. I love this.
Yeah. Talk about the history of the house.
So both toll houses didn't open with the bridge. The toll booths were there. They opened in April of 1925. They were built. Both toll houses were built by Peekskill Construction. Tony Renzen was the contractor. So for Peekskill, he built the wallpaper plant in Buchanan. That's where Buchanan gets their name.
Yeah.
He built the Guardian Building. He built Drum Hill. He built the Administration Building. I mean, he was amazing. He built most of the buildings for Fleischmann's. So for a little immigrant, boy, he was in a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And and so this toll house, and both toll houses, and when they opened in 25, the families would actually live here. They're actually in the children's bedroom. There was 4 children. It was Frank Manty and his family. Kitchen would be over to the north. And over here would be the parents' bedroom, and the front facing the road was the office.
I mean, from the outside, it doesn't look as big as it is. There is a
it's
lot of room in here.
Yeah.
And now there's a trail that goes right up.
Yep, it's called the Camp Smith Trail. It was done by Governor Patel when he was the New York State Senator. He signed an agreement with Camp Smith to open up the trail up to the top of Anthony's Nose.
Okay. Now, when was the last time you climbed Anthony's Nose?
Probably about 15 years ago.
All right.
Yeah.
And it still draws a lot of people.
Oh my, it's amazing. Amazing. Yep.
Now, when they built the bridge, they talked about a lot of it was the construction was done from the river. So boats had to bring all the material.
Some of it, yes. The equipment came, they would go through Camp Smith to the top of Anthony's Nose and then, bring it down on pulleys and stuff. But the materials, a lot of it come up by boats. But they would, as they keep building, they had different stations all the way up to the top of Anthony's Nose, to the bridge, east approach.
Right. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, it was owned by Harriman for how many years?
It was a private corporation. It was set up, Congress I have the congressional bills on the wall over here. In May of 1922, Congress approves the building going over the Hudson River. And he gave them 3 years to get the project off the ground, 7 years to complete everything, plans and the construction. They do everything within 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
It is.
And then they kept ownership for how long?
Up until 1940.
Yeah.
But the Great Depression, people really don't realize the Great Depression actually ended after World War II. So what happens is it was the most expensive bridge to go over. I think it was almost like $2 per person. People didn't have that kind of money. But if you were planning a day out, let's say you were going to go over there, if you took a boat and then traffic, somehow ground transportation, you would have exceeded that money. So it sounds exorbitant. Maybe it was. And then when the state took it over, they lowered it the first year to 50 cents, the following year to 25 cents.
Yeah,
So it was
I
a big
saw.
difference.
Oh,
And
sure.
of course, the bridge traffic,
Yeah.
was much bigger.
Well, there's how many? They're saying 7 million cars pass it now
7 million a year.
a year.
A year, 7.1 million cars go over that bridge per year. That doesn't seem possible.
Yeah. And the idea of a suspension bridge was also what they used for the George Washington Bridge, right?
Yep.
And the Golden State Bridge.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's just to tell you a little tidbit on the bridge. If you bought a Ford in 1920, this is exactly when they were building the bridge. Pick any color you like, make sure it's black. And there was reason for that. It was the cheapest, the most durable, dried the quickest. So when the Bear Mountain Bridge was completed, it was painted black. And it didn't go to silver until after World War II. It's hard to believe, but you'll see all my pictures, you'll see the bridge is black, it's not silver.
Yeah. That's right.
It's hard to believe, because I've told people that, and they're looking at you like, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
When you come into Peekskill off the entrance, you see the sign that says a friendly town. Now, are you part of that association, the
I
friendly
built
town?
the signs.
Okay.
Yeah, Here's the
It
story.
really is a nice thing.
I loved it. I followed Chester Smith. He was a court stenographer, but he had loved Peekskill, and he was on the school board in 23 when they merged. In fact, he was a driving force to merge North and South into one school district. He brought the library from a riding stable on the south side of Peekskill up to the middle of town. He co-wrote the city charter, but in 1920 he was the president of the Board of Trade, which is your future Chamber of Commerce. And during Prohibition, you couldn't manufacture, sell alcohol. He favored dry candidates, no drinking, and he put the sign up next to the armory. The armory wasn't there then, and it was to change the image of Peekskill. Instead of they worked hard, but they partied hard. A lot of fighting. I mean, it wasn't a great. If you went up to Peekskill during the dark, night hours, you might see some, a lot of tussles going on.
Sure.
So it's to change the image. Come to Peekskill, the friendly town.
Yeah.
I love that. I just love the. So with the 100th anniversary, the centennial celebration, that was my idea because I was on the committee for the Chamber of Commerce. So I made the signs. Louis Lanza paid for the lumber. Got it from Danes, and they've been there ever since. And I love it.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Louis Lenza. He's done a lot for Peekskill.
He paid for it. So he was agreeing to it. So
Yeah. Well, he put the statue in front of the Lincoln Depot.
no, that was Ginsburg.
Ginsburg. That's right. Sorry, Mr. Ginsburg. But so you did a show back in 2019 at the Lincoln Depot.
Right.
Talk about that.
So I still do it. I have two more this year. I do a PowerPoint. Most of the pictures are on the wall here. We powered a PowerPoint. I start off with the Hermans, how they came to be, Union Pacific Railroad. He dies in 1909. They donate 47,000 acres, which is Harriman State Park today. And then the following year, where Bear Mountain Park is today, the state was building a brand new Sing Sing prison. And Harriman's wife, Mary, she was just alarmed. She said, this can't be. She gets a hold of Governor Hughes, the picture around the wall here, and she convinces Governor Hughes to put an end to the construction. They had already started building. I think they had one floor done already. And she offers up $1 million and 10,000 acres of land to build the future Bear Mountain State Park. And 1913 it opens, and then I have up here the inn, the Bear Mountain Inn opens in 1915. So it's heavily traveled. I mean, people, if they say 7 million go over the bridge, I'll guarantee you there's 1 million to 2 million people go to that Bear Mountain every year. It's well liked.
I love this area.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I was just in Italy and I wasn't impressed. I said, I live in, Verplank.
Oh, once you get
And
used to the Hudson Valley, I don't care where. I mean, this is it.
this
This
is
is
it.
God's land here.
All right, now the cold this time of the year, I think we were spoiled the last few years with the
We
weather.
were.
And that kind of, threw us a curveball that
Yeah.
we got all the snow and it's cold, but,
It's not going away.
no, yeah. My friend said, "Wake up, Buttercup." And I said, "Hey, my name's not Buttercup." But this is New York, this is the weather, and we got to appreciate it. Spring will be here before you know it.
Yep.
I'll start my garden, and, we'll enjoy the great New York weather.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the next lecture you'll be giving?
I've just sealed the one I did it last night for April 18th in upstate New York.
Yeah.
I have one in Tappan. I think it's Tappan, New York, and Jersey. It's right on the Jersey border, and that's I think in March. But I still get calls, and it depends on what people hear about what's going on. I think it's a great presentation, not because I'm doing it, just
No.
it's good to know. It's
Yes.
just great history.
It's so important to know history. Speaking of your history, talk about your the tow truck company, and I watched that video. If you go on, you just have to Google Frank Goderre. It comes up. I love that video that you did with.
Oh yeah,
it
it's
was
great.
excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
So talk
Yeah.
about some of the stuff you did.
I did body work for 50 years, but I love the towing aspect of it. I love the recovery work. So I opened up my own body shop, Revolution Auto Body, in 1987. I shut it down in 1994. And the economy started changing. The insurance companies, I didn't agree with what they're doing. I still don't. They're there to make money. So I didn't want to change with the times. That probably hurt myself. But enjoy doing it. It just,
Yeah.
in fact, for Peekskill in the town of Cortland, I transported steel from 9/11 from the Kennedy Airport. One year I did, I think 1910, I did it for Peekskill. The following year I did it for the town of Cortland. So there's things you did, you say, well, what's the tow thing? It's just one of my proudest moments. I was just glad that we have part of that 9/11. It's here.
Yeah.
It's here in the Hudson Valley. And for me, it's just, I was part of it. So that part of it I like.
Yeah, cars are so important. I mean, there's too many on the road now.
Yeah.
But I was just down in Florida, and the traffic. We booked a tee time, and it said the golf course was 20 minutes away. So in the morning, when we looked again, it was 40 minutes away because of the traffic.
Right.
But you love police cars. I saw that.
Yeah, well, I worked for the city of Peekskill. I joined the police force in '73 and left in '78. So I had good memories. I like the police work. I don't like what's going on with the ice, but there's things that happened in my own childhood, in my own neighborhood where something happened, and I wanted to make a change, and see that we could do better. And I say that today. There's things we can do better. The public deserves it, and I'm a town person here. I love living here. I mean, I can't tell you. You just said it. That living in Hudson Valley, we're very lucky. Really,
We are.
extremely lucky.
It's a blessing. The whole idea of the show is, to tell people to get involved, not to complain about what's going on,
Right.
but to do
You
something.
have to do something. Don't just sit there and there's litter. You shouldn't have to pick up somebody's garbage, but you know what? You can help out.
Yes.
Just walk over it and just say, people. You can help people.
Yeah.
You don't have to just walk past them and say, "But there's a problem." You can sometimes solve that problem. So
Very easily solved.
yeah.
I can't stop talking about the police cars, that old model that, what were some of your favorite models of cars?
So anyhow, here's what's going. Any municipality would have a smaller engine because it didn't work. The plugs would foul up and everything. Versus like a state or a highway patrol. So the state bought big engine 440.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hear the rumbling of the sound. So I always saw that back in my mind. And I worked 1 year out in California. Same thing, the highway patrol. Boy, they just blow right by you like you're standing still. So when we took our training, we actually went over to FDR Park, and we drove the 73 Plymouth when it was in service. The state police taught the vehicle traffic thing. So I said, oh, this is some car. So what happened was, it was the last year that they used black and white police cars, the color scheme. Then they went to blue and gold. There was a federal thing they were going to give grants to the states that they wanted to use universal. If you can stop out west, they wanted cars to be, you could associate it, instead of having everybody have a different color. So cities were supposed to be blue, sheriffs were red and white. That's not the whole color scheme came about. So I did the black and white first, and I was so proud of it. And then I kept it with the junkyard we got. It was at upstate New York, in Adams, New York. They had a ton of these blue and golds. So I went back the following year and bought the blue and gold. And just, that's my favorite. The blue and gold is probably my favorite. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you a quick story. In 1959, my father, right here at Camp Smith, bought a 51 Chevy. And had the state color, dark blue, bright yellow roof. And his was the worst shape. I bought it for $100 at auction. But there was no options. And so I remember 3. It was Manny's Barbershop and Phoenix Bar and Grill. He had one. So my father died in 81, but my uncle was still alive, Russ Martin. And I said, what do you use these cars for? So they were for air raid warden during the Korean War. I've never saw another picture of it. And I'm thinking, boy, I would have, if you asked me what would be my favorite car, it would have been that 51 Chevy. Well, there was no options. It was just a unique car. Air raid wardens during the Korean War. That blew me away.
Yeah.
So the things you learn that you growing up, that becomes important in your own history.
Well, that's it. That's where it all starts. So what is your favorite corner of the room to go and to show people the pictures?
Well, they're all my favorite corner.
Yeah.
Each one establishes something. The toll house, the Harmons, the construction. Over here is probably one of my favorite. I have pictures here. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
So in June of 1939, Germany's invading Europe, and King George and Queen Elizabeth come to the United States for the first time. But they were treated like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. So there's right behind me, there's 6 pictures. They start off at Washington, D.C. They go to the World's Fair in Queens. And then the third day, they travel up to Hyde Park. And guess what Roosevelt served them for lunch? Hot dogs. So just before Christmas, I'm up at this restaurant up in Newburgh. Yeah. And it's the same thing. Not just like me, the guy that owned the restaurant's got pictures of all of Newburgh. But I don't know much about Newburgh, but they were great pictures. But right where he's cooking the hamburgers and stuff, he has the front page of the New York Daily News, where it's the bold print is they're eating hot dogs. So they had a hot dog and beer. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a great story. Yeah. So I try to infuse not just historical pictures, but interesting stuff so you don't get bored. And so that's where you asked me what's my favorite. This time right now, because and the picture that's on the front page of the Daily News, I actually have right here the original picture. So it's 87 years old. I'm proud of that. It's a good collection.
Now, somebody else got a picture from you of the workers on the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you have the one from, what year was that one?
That's from 1924. All the workers that built the bridge, not the road, but that built the bridge, they posed, some of them on the bridge itself, on the stanchions, and on the deck. So I sent the digital image up to the New York State Bridge Authority, and they go, wow, they loved it. So they sent me an email back, because they use that, they want to replicate it. And that's what we did 100 years later. The people that are on the bridge are the workers that maintain the bridge. And I'm standing there with it. So I became part of this historical moment. Yeah. So I brought the owner of McDonald's. Okay. They wanted to replace...
Which McDonald's?
Right here in Welcher Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Right in the Peaceful Shopping Center.
Yep.
So bring the owner up here. He wanted they took the TV down. It wasn't working. They wanted to get it inspected. They wanted to put a picture there. Yeah. So I said, we got to see this. You want to have a before and after. So I opened that door, and he looked over the one wall. He goes, that's the picture. So the picture I have, they have a picture is twice the size of what I have. So when I go to McDonald's, I I know they don't sell Italian subs in there, but they will. We'll get you in there
Yeah.
someday.
All right.
So it's a proud moment. This is something that they got it from me. It's from my collection. I didn't take the picture. People ask me, "Are you in that picture?" I don't think so.
But you are in the other picture.
I'm in the current picture.
You're right, the more.
Yep.
All right. So, what did they do for the 100-year celebration?
So I wasn't all that happy, but you like this here. We had a couple meetings. And one was over at the building on the other side of the river, and this one woman, Catherine Burke from the Historical Bridges of Hudson Valley, she wanted to reach out. They're going to do a time capsule. She wanted to reach out with the schools. So I recommended Peekskill. She does Hillcrest. I went to Hillcrest when it was brand new.
Oh my gosh.
So she meets and she gets the thing up. They're going to have the students do a one-page essay on what their memory of the bridge. So I asked Catherine Burke, gee, would you mind if I reach out to school teacher? So I did. So March 1st of 23, I did 9 classes, 25 kids per class. And here's the beauty of it. I knew that weekend I had everything all set up to teach this class. But I thought I'm pretty sure I had a picture of George Pataki in one of the classrooms when it opened. And I find it. I'm like, wow. And believe it or not, we're sitting in the same classroom that the picture of him's taken. So I sent George Pataki an email. I said, you won't believe this. I sent him the picture. I said, we're in the same room that was taken how many years ago in 54. And he wrote back, he said, oh, I wish I could be there. He's on or something at the time. I said, oh my God. So there's sometimes I trip over stuff and it just works out. So the school got a kick out of it. I went there 3 years after George, he went there in 54, I went there in 55. But good memories, back to that nostalgia.
Well, I've known George forever. He was just at the restaurant not long ago with his family. And
so his involvement here, he did the trail, he did the paddleboat ramp, he had the grant to restore his building, he did the lookout. He not only had the bridge painted, he had it completely sandblasted. I remember the big tops were over it.
Yes.
He had the maintenance building added.
Oh my gosh.
He had Fort Montgomery Battle Site redone. He did the bridge over to Popolopan Creek. So for one guy from Peekskill, did so much. I want to get him here myself. I really do. I want him to come here. I think he'd be happy.
You got the message, right, George?
Yeah. Oh, please, George, you got to come here.
Yeah,
I'm going to send him an email this week.
Yeah. And I want to thank John Testa for all the good stuff he does, too.
Yeah, not John Testa. No, he's up on the wall. John's on the wall. He's at the dedication of the toll house.
Awesome.
Yeah. They're good people.
Yeah, and that's what community, that's what community's all about.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, it's the best.
It is. Thanks again so much, Frank, for everything you do. And, come make an appointment, come and see Frank.
That's what I mean. Here's a shout out. Please, people, you got to come to the toll house. I'll be open. We're going to be here in June, the first weekend of June. Take 5 minutes out of your time. If you think you know all about Cortland and Peekskill history, you know nothing. You got to come here and see what's on these walls. I'm not just blowing my own horn, but these archival pictures you'll never see anywhere else. So,
excellent.
And thank you, Victor, for coming here. I'm glad all you guys came.
Yep. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. Great job. Jim is the best. Joe, thank you so much. I'm Victor Margetta. This is the Community Show. Don't complain about what's going on. Get involved. There's so many ways to get involved in the community. Thanks for watching.